everybody, how's it going? Today I am going to be doing my August TBR. I have a very healthy stack next to me. It is like slightly late. I mean, it's not too late, but I've been working like basically every day. So I actually got back from work a little while ago. So I'm going to do this right now. And I've already started piecing through my TBR as well. And I'm really excited for everything that I'm going to be reading. I have a good mix of genres here. Like there's a lot of like contemporaries, there's some YA, there's like some fantasy. There's a good mix in here. I will link everything that I mentioned down below in case you are interested in looking at the synopses of any of the books, or if you want to purchase it as well, just because they do, like within the Goodreads links, they do have all of the stuff for you, so you can definitely check that out, which is really nice. That's why I link Goodreads instead of anything else, because sometimes it's not available in a country or it's not this or that, so that way you're able to actually track it down for yourself. So anyways, I am going to go through everything that I am going to be reading this month, and yeah, I'm really excited. I got a good variety going on, so I'm quite pleased about it. But yeah, we're gonna get started with the first book. So the first book that I have here, I'm actually about 25% of the way through now. And I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it so far, a lot more than I thought I was going to. This particular book, a lot of people either really love it or they're just like a little meh about it, or they just don't like it at all. A lot of the comments are about the beginning, and I got through the beginning, but I'll give you like my actual thoughts once I've actually finished, just because obviously I haven't finished the book yet. But so far, I'm actually really enjoying it. And this is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And this is about our protagonist, Addie, or Adeline. She is originally from France. She lives in, this book kind of goes between two different times. And then later in the book, it actually goes through like two different perspectives as well. I don't want to spoil anything, but it does go back and forth in time and stuff like that. And it's really interesting so far. But basically, it's sort of loosely inspired by Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. And if you haven't read that play, I'll give you a quick synopsis of that. Basically, that play is about Dr. Faustus, who makes a deal with the devil. That's kind of the same thing that Addie LaRue does. She makes a deal with like a bad god, but I'm just gonna say she made a deal with the devil because the god that she like makes the deal with is just like a terrible villainous character. And basically the deal is that he will remain immortal, and he'll, be able to just live forever and, have a lot of power. There's a lot of other things that happen in that particular play. But this one, it's not as like horrible, but it's still very sad so far. I'm not gonna say it's like intensely sad or anything, but it's you definitely feel for her at times when you are reading. You're like, ugh, that really sucks. And basically it's just her navigating life, being invisible. So basically she is immortal. She's not going to die. She's not going to age. Nothing's going to happen to her because she's actually supposed to get married off, and then obviously she makes that deal and then nothing really happens with that. But basically the catch is that anybody who looks away from her or like closes the door on her or something like that, so if somebody loses sight of her, essentially, it's very loosely based though, she will not be remembered, so they won't remember her. So if she's already met somebody before, that person's not going to remember her, or if she's had like very intimate conversations with that person, they're not going to remember her. Like, so far I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. I know a lot of people are saying that the beginning is quite slow. I can see why people would think that, but I actually really like the beginning. I think it gives a lot of great context to the story, and I would definitely recommend that you pick this up if you haven't already. Of course, I'm not finished yet. I'm not very far into it, but I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, I can't wait to continue to see Addie's journey through her invisible life, I guess. But yeah, that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That's the first book that I'm reading. And the next book that I'm going to be reading, this is a book called Pick on the Plant-Based Bride book club. I'm going to take credit for it because I really wanted to read it. I was like, hey, can we read this? And then a lot of people voted for it. So I'm actually really excited that we ended up reading this one. This one, I've been kind of back and forth about reading, but I heard a lot of good things about it, and I found it at my bookstore, and I just I bought it, and I'm like, I just told everybody in the book club, like, hey, even if we don't end up picking this one, I'm still gonna read it. So like, whatever. But we ended up picking this one, which I'm really, really excited about. Because it's like I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm just really excited for it. And this is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is like a magical realism book. So basically it's about like this circus, and it's called Le Cirque des Rêves, which is in French for the Circus of Dreams. And it's like part romance, part magical realism, part fantasy, part like it's got like some fantastical elements to it, but it's clearly set in our world, which I find really, really interesting. And I can't wait to dive into this one because I've heard a lot of really good things about it. And I really, really can't wait to pick this up and finally like dive into it. And also the cover is beautiful, and it's very like whimsical and very like just like so gothic and magical. Like I can't wait to read this one, and I'm really excited for it. I just wanted to read something that was a little bit different and a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I think this will be like a really good start for that. So yeah, that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And then the next book that I'm going to be reading is a mystery novel. This one I kind of picked up on a whim, and I was actually planning on reading it a little bit later in the year, but then I'm like, no, I'm reading this now because this is so interesting and I really, really want to read it. This is Dead Girls by Nekesa Afia, and this is about a girl named Louise. She lives in 1920s Harlem, and basically this is about these women that got murdered, and our protagonist Louise is being accused of murdering those women. So the police give her like an ultimatum of like to get her out of jail type of thing. So basically she either has to solve the case or she's going to jail. And I'm so interested to see how this represents race during that time and things like that, because I know it was very, very rough being somebody who wasn't white during that time, especially since from what I know, the white supremacist groups and things like that were very, very, very prominent in those in like areas of the United States and things like that, and even in Canada as well, where I live. Like they were definitely very prominent and a very, very popular viewpoint of a lot of people. And I'm really interested to see how Louise navigates her life in there, and I really want to see like kind of like I just want to see how everything plays out with her and her journey into, I guess, becoming like somebody who solves a mystery. I hope she solves it, because I think that would be really awesome. And also like this is very Art Deco too. It's very reminiscent of the 1920s, like the font and everything. And I just love this cover anyways. Like Art Deco is beautiful and gorgeous. Although there's not a lot of gold elements to it, it's still very like reminiscent of like the 1920s. Like it's got a very 1920s vibe, very glamorous. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to read this book. And it looks like it's going to be a bit of a quick read too, because it looks like it's about just over 300 pages. So I'm assuming that I'm going to get through this rather quickly. So yeah, I can't wait to read this one. But that is Dead Girls by Nekesa Afia. And the next book that I'm going to read is a YA contemporary. And I don't normally go for YA because it's not really something that I'm like particularly interested in, because the YA that I read when I was in high school and middle school was like the writing, like that, now that I look at it, was very like immature. But I heard a lot of good things about this book, and I ended up buying it and now I'm going to read it this month, and that is Anna K by Jenny Lee. This is about a girl named Anna. She is Korean American. She lives in New York. She lives a very like privileged lifestyle, and basically like she goes to a really good school. Everything in her life is like going really well, and then she meets this guy, and then everything kind of turns upside down for her, and everything that she knows kind of shifts, if you know what I mean. So it's very like coming of age, I would say, like according to the synopsis anyways. But I've heard a lot of really good things about this book. I've heard that it's very just like blunt and very honest, and it also talks a lot about race, and it talks a lot about privilege and class and things like that. So I am really excited to start this one, and yeah, that is Anna K by Jenny Lee. And then the next book that I'm going to be reading, I can't wait to read this book. I'm so excited to read this book. I'm so excited. I've heard a lot of things about this book, and what I do sometimes when I pick up books, like, or before I pick up books, I like read like a page or two before I decide whether or not I want to read it. This one I read like maybe like a few sentences, and I'm like, yep, I'm getting this book. Like, there's no way that I'm passing this one up. And also it was the last copy in my bookstore, so it was totally meant to be. And that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This book has been talked about so much on Book Talk and on BookTube as well, so this better be good. But this is about two people named Lucy and Joshua. They're both co-workers at a publishing firm, and they're both very different people. So Lucy's very like free-spirited, very like liberal type of thing. So she's very like optimistic and very happy and bubbly. And then Joshua is very work-oriented, very conservative, just kind of one of those people that is very disciplined in the way that he does things. And they don't really like each other very much, and they're actually both vying for these same promotions. So throughout this story, they kind of take like little jabs at each other, because they just like, they're kind of rivals, and I believe that they also just generally don't like each other. And then they end up kind of like having those little moments where you kind of slowly start to form a relationship, and then by the end of this book, I believe they're in a relationship, and it's very like slow burny, which I'm very excited about because I love slow burns. Like, I just want it to drag out until it actually happens, because I feel like if you're gonna have like a romance, don't just be like, yeah, you're in love on the first page. Like, no, that's not how it works. What you have to do is you gotta let it like, you gotta have a slow burn, and I'm really excited for this. So yeah, that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and I'm really excited to read this. So the next book is another like romance. I guess it's like a comedy book or an adult contemporary. I'm gonna say that it's supposed to be really funny, and I'm really excited about it. And that is Diary for Aunties by Jessica Sutanto. And this book has also been talked about a lot on BookTube. I don't know who was talking about it, but somebody was talking about it, and then I just got convinced, and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna go buy this, and I bought it, so here we are. But this is about a woman named Madeline, and she's like set up on this like blind date, and then her blind date accidentally dies, which is really interesting, and I think it's actually like it's kind of dark, but it's also like really funny. But basically she calls up her aunties to help her bury the dead body, or hide the dead body, sorry. And I can't wait to read this one. I think this is gonna have a lot of like very common comedy tropes, and a lot of comedy stories where, you know, characters will get themselves into some very like wacky situations, and then they magically get out of it, which I think is just like the best trope ever. I really love those for whatever reason. I just think it's just like a nice trope. It's a wonderful trope, and it reminds me of like Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a really nice, very fluffy Shakespeare play. And I think it's gonna have that sort of same trope where like people kind of get themselves into like a very messy situation, and then they don't know why they're in that messy situation, and just sort of a lot of wacky things happen, and I think it'll be really funny. So yeah, we're reading this and we're gonna love it. But yeah, that is Diary for Aunties by Jessica Sutanto. And then the next book that I'm reading, this one I kind of picked up also on a whim, and I'm really excited about this one actually, because I feel like it's gonna be funny, but it's also gonna be very serious at the same time. But I looked at it, kind of read what the synopsis obviously, and I picked it up. So yeah, I'm reading Family Trust by Wang as well. This is about a family, the Wang family, and Stanley is the breadwinner, I guess. Him right up here, the old grandpa there, is dying of pancreatic cancer, and his children discover that his inheritance isn't as large as they thought it was going to be. So it's basically them kind of navigating how these affairs are going to be handled. And it's got a lot of family dynamic in here, a lot of people sort of coming together after being apart for so long. And I think it's going to be a very contemporary, very like, I don't know, like I've heard it's like kind of up and down in terms of like the seriousness and the funniness. I think it's going to be very real and blunt, which I'm kind of excited about from what I've heard anyways. But yeah, I'm reading this and I really hope that I enjoy it. And I think I will. And I try not to pick books that I don't think I'll enjoy because I don't like reading books that I don't like. And it's very hard to displease me too, I find, especially with books, because I'm a very objective person. So there's that. But yeah, that is Family Trust by Kathy Wang. And then the next book that I'm reading, we're almost done the stack. We're getting there. This one I need to read like this month or else it'll just feel weird that I'm reading it in like September. So we're reading this as well, but I'm actually kind of excited about it, because it's got like that really cutesy, very like, I don't know, it's got a trope in here that I particularly enjoy and I'm actually quite excited about it. But this is Beach Read by Emily Henry. This one I don't think I put in a book haul, question mark, I don't remember. But anyways, if it's already in a book haul, it's probably already linked somewhere. If it's not, then you know, there's that. A couple of these books actually haven't featured in a book haul, which I think are The Night Circus, and then there's another one that I'm going to be showing in a sec. But this book is about two authors. One is a romance author, and then one does like literary fiction, I think. Yeah. So it's about Augustus and January, which is like, I know some people kind of like cringe at names like that, but I love those names. I think they're really cute. But they're two authors and they basically just like have this really bad writer's block apparently. And they make a bet with each other that they're gonna switch genres and just like write a book over the summer, and whoever like wins and writes the best book, I guess, wins or something. And then they end up falling in love, which I think is super cute. And it's a very like, it's supposed to be a very lighthearted, very beachy, very just like a breath of fresh air type of thing. And I just like, I don't know, I think it'll be great. I think I'll enjoy it. I think it'll just be like one of those easy reads and a very like nice palate cleanser. Because I read a lot of intense books last month and a lot of like very large and in charge books last month. Prayer of the Orange Tree. But yeah, I'm reading this one and I feel like I'm gonna like it because, like I said, it's not that hard to displease me. Actually, sorry, it's hard to displease me. What am I saying? It's very hard to displease me. And I heard a lot of really nice things about it. So yeah, we're gonna read this one too. But yeah, that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. And then the next book that I'm going to be reading, this one, I just heard that it's just nice and it's cute and I need that. And I've heard nothing but good things, like literally nothing but good things. Maybe I heard like one bad thing about it, but otherwise I've heard nothing but good things, so I'm reading it. This is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and this is about a caseworker named Linus Baker. He is he like works in this like department of charge of like magical youth, it says, yeah. And he goes to an orphanage and he meets this man and he falls in love with this man. And then all of these children are all the children like that are in this orphanage, are supposed to be very like dangerous, if that makes sense. Like they're a danger to society. So he is basically there to check up on them and see how things are going. And I've heard that it's just really cute and happy and you're just supposed to feel good after you read it. And I need that. Like, I think I need that and I want that. And I think this is going to be one of the books that I read this month that is going to give that to me, and I am excited for it. So yeah, we're reading this and we're going to enjoy it. But yeah, that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ. But I heard a lot of really good things about this one. This one actually was longlisted on the 2020 Booker Prize, which is really awesome. And it's a shorter read too, which is great. So it's not going to be like huge intense in my bag, which is amazing. But this one is also like an adult contemporary, so it's going to be very wonderful and real and great, and I'm excited for it. This is Such a Fun Age by Kiley, Reid, and this is a exploration of privilege and exploration of class. Basically, it's about this babysitter. Her name is Amira, and she is a Black woman. She's a 25-year-old Black woman, and she babysits this woman, Alex's child. And Amira takes her, she takes Alex's child to like an upscale grocery store because they're gonna go grocery shopping. And everybody in the store thinks that Amira is kidnapping this kid. And it like gets caught on film, and there's just a lot of things that happen after that, and the aftermath is just like not very nice. But it's a very critical look at the way that we racially profile people and how that can really, really impact somebody's life, and the way that we navigate that either as allies or other as people who actually are affected by these things. But it's a very real look at, like I said, racial profiling. I believe there's some instances of police brutality as well. So if that triggers you, definitely don't read this. But I'm actually really stoked that I have this. Like I said, I kind of picked it up on a bit of a whim, and the synopsis just really caught my eye, and I thought I think it'll be a really, really interesting read. And it's, like I said, it's very short, but I think it'll be very blunt and honest, and that's what I can appreciate from authors. So yeah, we're reading this one too. That is Such a Fun Age by Kiley, Reid. And then the last book that I have here, this one is a YA that I kind of just like, okay, so this one I really picked up on a whim. It was on like the stock card at my bookstore, and I just grabbed it, looked at it, and I'm like, yep, buying this one too. And I read the synopsis too very briefly, and it looks really intense, but like YA intense, if that makes sense, because adult intense is very different from YA intense, but this one just looked really good, and I really wanted to get it. So here we are. This is the Gilded Ones by Namina, Forna, and this is about a girl who lives in a village, and basically there's like this initiation when they turn 16, where it is decided whether or not they're going to die or they're going to be staying in the village. And it's just her sort of navigating this very intense, very traumatizing political practice. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Political practice. And it just sort of, it talks about her just fighting and, you know, discovering her own and kind of coming of age heroine type of thing, and very like feminist and empowering, and I'm just really excited to read this one. And also the cover is beautiful. Like, I love the color of this, and like the dust jacket is just gorgeous, and I mean the inside cover is very plain, but it's still very beautiful and very just, it caught my eye. And then I read the synopsis and I'm like, this looks really interesting, so I'm buying it. But yeah, we're reading this month as well. And that is the last book I'm reading this month. I tried not to make it, I just didn't want it to be too intense. I mean, it's still, like, if you look at this, you're like, oh God, she's reading too much. But like, I'm excited, so we're in a good spot. But yeah, I will link all of these books down below in case you are interested in reading the synopses or purchasing them, anything like that. I'll also link my Goodreads down below so you can watch what I'm reading. Otherwise, I am so stoked to read these books. And like I said, I'm already about a quarter of the way through Addie, LaRue, so we're on the right track here. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, please subscribe to my channel, that'd be amazing. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go put these books away now. Bye.